In this lesson, you will learn about weaving. The learning goal is I can create a weaving. In box number 1, I give you a definition of the word weaving. Weaving is the process of making a whole item, such as fabric, a basket, or a rug, by passing threads or strips over and under each other. This is called interlacing. The second box shows you a picture of how weaving works, and I'm going to zoom into it so you can get a good look at it. The red string is the vertical string, and this is called the warp string. Even though the threads could really be the same color, I colored the top string green, and then the second one blue, and then the third one green, the fourth one blue, and so on to show you how the pattern changes. Look at the top green string. That starts under the red string, then over the red string, then under, and so on. Then when you get to the second row, the blue row, look at how it begins by going over the red string, then under, then over, then under. The third green string starts under the red string, then over and under, and so on. And this pattern continues. This pattern is very important because that is how the strings stay locked together. The third box shows you an example of how strips are woven together to create a basket. The fourth box shows you a non-example of weaving. This yarn is just wrapped around a cylinder. And this wrapping shows that there is no weaving because the yarn is not interlaced. They are not passed in an over and under pattern. Now let's get started with weaving. First, you will need to find a piece of cardboard. This is the back of a cracker box that I have, and I cut it into the shape of a rectangle. Next, you will make the marks for your vertical strings to hook into. And as you can see, I'm using my finger to create a space and make a little mark at the top. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the bottom. You want to make sure that your bottom and top lines are aligned. Now take some scissors and cut the little marks, the little lines that you made on the bottom and the top of the cardboard. For the next step, I'm going to show it to you in slow motion. You're going to create the vertical strings, the warp strings. To do this, take a long piece of string and you're going to turn the cardboard over to the back side of it. If you have tape, you can tape the end of the string to the back of the cardboard. If you don't have tape, leave a long piece so that you can tie the ends together. I'm going to do mine without tape so that I can show you this. As you can see, I'm putting the yarn through the little cut that I made. And then I'm going to flip the cardboard over. Next, I gently pull the string to the other line on the other side. And then I'm going to push it through the cut and loop it towards the back and then back to the front through the cut. Then I will take that string and pull it towards the opposite side and then push it towards the back of in between the cut, and then go next door and wrap it and bring it back to the front. When you bring it to the last cut, you're going to flip it over and tie the ends together. Don't pull too tight because then it will bend your cardboard. So just make a double knot. Now we are ready to start weaving. Go ahead and find anything that is long at your house. Right now, right here in the video, I have a long piece of grass that's from outside of my house. And I'm going to use this, and on my first string, I'm going to start under. I'm going to go under, over, under, over, under, over, under, and then I'm going to push it up to the top, and any ends that are sticking out far, I'm just going to give them a little trim. The next material I'm going to use, this is from a loaf of bread, the plastic. It was an orange color. So when we were done with the bread, I kept the plastic bag and I cut it into a long strip. And because this is the second row, I started by going over the first string and then under and over. If you have a really long piece, you don't have to cut it. You can just continue it, but just make sure that when you start a new row that you have to do an opposite. So the second row, which is the orange plastic, I started by going over the yarn, and in the third row I started my row by going under the yarn and then over and under. This that I'm using is just a scrap piece of fabric. If you have any old clothes that you don't use anymore, you can cut them up. Of course, ask your parents first though before you cut any fabric. But any old clothes that you don't want anymore, you can cut them up into strips and use that to weave. If you don't have yarn, you can find anything. You could weave with anything. As long as it's long enough, you could use it. Here I found some ribbon that was wrapped around a hula hoop, and the ribbon was coming apart, so I just took it, and that's what I'm weaving with now. And again, you're paying attention to the row above it. Okay, the polka dot fabric, I can tell that I started it by going over the first string and then under, over, under, over. And the blue ribbon, I had to start it by going under the first string. So now this next row of ribbon has to start over the yarn. And so you will just continue this pattern until you are done.